Hello and welcome to another episode of Scott Schilling Speaks. I'm your host, Scott Schilling. Got a great friend with us here today. A 9-time international bestseller, has been on stages in 39 or more countries, tremendous expert in online strategies and quite frankly, so many different things. Tracy Repchuk, thanks for joining us here on Scott Schilling Speaks.
Oh, I love it, Scott. I'm so excited to finally just kind of let everyone know what we've been up to, right?
Well, that's what's fun. We've been working diligently for the last year and a half, almost 2 years, in Be Connected, with Be Connected, growing Be Connected. Obviously, we're on the Be Connected broadcast network here. I have a podcast here. You have one. And so we've been doing a lot of that. But now that we have the opportunity to do podcasts and do whatever, we also work on our own business, hence the reason for our podcast. So what are you up to these days?
Oh, so many things, as you know, right? I had to move to Canada, right? So that led to quite a disruption in a way of, what do I want to focus on? So it was kind of fun. I moved up here and opened up a retail store, which I have never done in my life. So as everyone else is fleeing the retail scene, I opened up a store up here, which has absolutely started to grand slam because of the concept. So the concept it's called Main Street Pop-Up Shop. I actually almost have this franchise kind of concept in my head where you can take all these outlets and main street stores that don't have the ability to rent anymore because it's too difficult, and then turn it into a cookie cutter kind of concept. So this is the flagship of this. This is the concept. This particular store is broken up into 4 spots. People are renting the 4 spots. We do not want to lease long term. I've had actually people approach me because we're on Main Street and we're on the such a precise corner that gets the most traffic in all of Mahone Bay. And so it has been a little bit of a blast learning retail, setting up window design, getting in renters and leasers. And on top of that, I added an Airbnb because I bought rental properties. And so it's been a fun, because I had to stay local for my parents. I was like, okay, I might as well build something local, and of course, I've got my Reach Millions Academy at the same time. And so I'm playing in both worlds like I've never done.
Well, I think it's interesting. I was in multiple conversations over the last couple of days, and everybody agrees business will never be done the same way it was prior to the pandemic. And so many people are realizing, for whatever reason, some because of health issues, some because of, their company just didn't want them to get in the car and drive to the company anymore. And so all of a sudden, the 2 hours to work and 2 hours from work, they go, man, I didn't realize I used to do that, right? Mm-hmm. So many things have now clued in to people to do business doing differently going forward. And to have an online expert like you to say, you know what, I'm going to go to brick and mortar because of the changes that had to happen. Totally understand. Aging population, we need to take care of our parents and things like that. So it's amazing to me that just another example of how business will never be done the same. And yet you're excited about the new and different.
Yeah, totally. It's been incredibly fun. And as you said, because I can master the online world, that has launched this precise location so beautifully within a day of opening the doors, if I want to call it that, and broadcasting that people could start to rent this space. I had 30 applications from people. And the beautiful part is all this was streamlined yet again, right? Like I knew before I launched this, I needed the ability to get all of the data and what they were doing and when they were interested in renting, because you can rent it by the day, the week, the weekend, or the month, right? And so I had all that in play. I had the price sheets already, and the area is all taped off into the different spots. So it made it a nice, easy thing to do. And then I started the promotion of the store. But more importantly, what am I going to do for somebody that comes in as a renter that they won't know how to do? And what's that? Social media, Facebook Lives, Instagram, leveraging hashtags and things of that nature. So it's already begun. And it's a funny thing, like in Mahone Bay, they can get up to anywhere from 3,000 to 10,000 visitors. This is what they got historically for something called the Scarecrow Festival. So in the online world, I was always looking for what can I piggyback and promote. Well, now I have this physical thing I can piggyback and promote. So not only am I doing that through social media, but we are setting up in our property here, because we're right on the waterfront. We've got a big yard behind us here, a parade of scarecrows. So we purchased all of these scarecrows that were part of the festival, and we got like Elvis and Hansel and Gretel and the witch, and I got Prince Charles and the Queen. I've got all of these scarecrows, and we're going to make a huge parade. Well, why am I doing that? Not only will it attract people to Mahone Bay, but it will also bring people to the store and also bring buyers for the renters. So it's this marketing background that I have that has allowed this to become unique and profitable for those that are taking a look.
I mean, it just sounds like a lot of fun, to be able to take and sometimes doing something fresh that still dovetails into your expertise is a lot of fun to do. I know.
Mhm.
Again, I think, and podcasting and doing shows like this, I think are part of that too. We both
Mhm.
used to be on the stage, and it was always fun to be in front of a group of people, and all of a sudden that just wasn't a possibility, and to a certain extent still kind of isn't a
Right.
possibility. So one of those reinventions, I refuse to use that P word that everybody has overused for the last year. But the reinvention becomes now being able to still convey messages, share information, do it a different way through podcasts. So, I mean, I've enjoyed this, because of its application. So it's amazing how you can put expertise or knowledge, wisdom, training, whatever you've done together. So let's get back into what where you've been for years and years and years, and you've got your academy, right? That's still online and still offers great opportunity for so many people.
Well, what's interesting about the Academy is it was built during the pandemic. So
Okay.
historically, of course, I was on the stage, and then I would, make a presentation, and then I would do some sort of, whether it be coaching program or something of that nature. And that's what people would invest in. And then I would upgrade in many cases to the done for you, where I do their website and their landing page and their membership site and their product and pricing, et cetera. But as I wasn't out there doing that, what I realized is, of course, I have this unbelievable list of courses that were disconnected, right? Your $1 Million Design was here, and Message to Millions was there, and the Science of Social Media was over here. And that was all great from the stage, because I would focus in on one price point, one program. But then as, all of that had to shift, I was like, okay, I need to bring this now under one umbrella. And that's where reachmillionsacademy.com was born. And so I've developed that. I've now moved the majority of my programs under that umbrella. So people can now, buy Instagram or TikTok training or whatever you want in individual kind of courses as opposed to the packaging that I had done, which means, something that might have been $1,000, you can get started for $27. So again, there was the other piece, right, that I needed to address, in that people's pocketbooks were tighter, and they weren't shelling out maybe $3,000 for a program. So get started then with 27 and buy them one at a time as you need them. So that's really the unfolding of that. And again, that was a huge undertaking, moving everything under there, but I'm loving it because, of course, my Reach Millions TV, which, yes, is here on the Live on the Hive broadcast network for Be Connected. It dovetails now into that, in that, I'm talking about always what I've talked about. How do you reach millions with your message? Well, there's the 4 pillars: the internet, the social media, the books, the training, and getting on television. Well, if we're not running about anymore getting on television, well, now I've, of course, talked about getting onto, OTT media, this type of, over the top TV online media. So that has now come on in under that umbrella, as I talk, of course, about Be Connected in that essence. And books still the same. And yeah, maybe we're not out there speaking, but there's all these other venues and seminars and online events, etc. And yeah, it'll move back, I'm sure, to where we are all out on the stage again. But it's funny, as somebody who, used to be on the road 227 days of the year on major stages all over the world, I'm quite liking a little bit more of the settle down, not lugging it out, not having a 90-minute talk and it takes you 5 days, right, to do that. There's been an interesting shift in that nature of what are my priorities now and how do I want my life to look? And that's, of course, what it allowed me to do. So now I'm getting very particular. If I'm going to go out and speak, it's going to be for an exact thing that, I want to do. It's going to be in a place I want to be. And it's hopefully going to be by time we do not have to, wear a mask on an airline. Most places I go could be 12, 14 hours away. And just the thought of that for that long, it's making me be a little more reserved on when do I start to personally travel. I get everyone's up and out again. I'm loving that because at the store here, at the retail level, the tourists are here. It's brilliant, and they're renting the Airbnb. So everything's great from that perspective. And I don't really have to go out as much. So, a lot has come out of this at the same time as you said, there's been reinvention and rebranding and repositioning and reprioritizing on many levels, which, there's been a season for everything. So you just accept where we are and you move forward.
It's interesting because just even as I'm, talking to you, and again, we used to share stages and do so many different things like that. And same thing, I, for almost 6 years, left on Sunday, came back on Friday, probably spoke 8 to 10 times that week. And it's just what you did. And you go, that's just normal. And it's like, wow, I can't imagine doing that anymore.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
What was I thinking? No, but it was absolutely awesome. Then when we obviously got bigger, and then it was, once a week with a major audience, and that was even more fun because it was less of all the other stuff around it. It's never been the being on stage or the being at events. Those are a blast. Let's just say it. But it's interesting. I was talking, a friend just canceled he was going to have one October 7th to the 9th, and just said, we're going to push it into May of next year because of the uncertainty of things. You have two things. You have uncertainty of what's going to happen next week, whether you're going to be able to travel, not travel. But then the other side of it is how people are feeling about it all. So again, we've talked about this for a year and a half. You need to have your business online, right?
Yep.
You just need to have something that you're doing online. So the, Reach Millions Academy, what a great way of doing it. Man, what an amazing way at some very efficient price points.
And that was the other thing. That to me is a little bit of the fun part too, is being able a little bit to dismantle all of the bundling that I had done and let a guy who just wants to learn about Clubhouse, I got Clubhouse training, I got TikTok training, I got Instagram, I got Facebook, I got branding, all of these various pieces that you need for an online business. Of course, all of my focus is still training people on that. But at the same time, I have now added this whole other element of the localized, which means local Google, local SEO, search engine optimization, all of these other skills that I applied online, I'm now applying to the local. What does that mean? Well, maybe for Mahone Bay in particular, it means that I can help the local businesses to resurrect, of which many have shut, right? It's the type of town that depends on foot traffic. And so if that's not happening, which of course for a year and a half it didn't, what can they do to optimize? Well, all of them could move to an online store. Every single person, excluding if you want the furniture guy, could sell their stuff online. So this is stuff that I'll start to unfold once I've proven it to them from my local store, right? Then I'm going to say, look, you have, 122 items in here. Let's get them into an e-commerce site and let's duplicate the ability for you to sell, not just from a local perspective, but to be able to ship it out as well. And that's where people are going to have to move to survive, whether it be the winter months, which of course exist in a location like I'm at. But more importantly, what if 3 years down the line, we don't know where the world is going? And so let's be ready for both scenarios.
Well, I think the internet, is the great equalizer or lifter done properly, right? I mean, you've got to have eyeballs, you've got to have, but it's the exact same thing. Your town there in Nova Scotia is reliant upon foot traffic, which isn't just the eyeballs are up a little higher, right? And they've got their own feet behind them. But I mean, if you don't get that, then how do you stay open in business? How do you continue? I mean, the challenges in business today are so significantly different, I think, than they were. I mean, the stuff that you used to be able to identify in either get rid of or work around. I mean, stuff sneaks up on you today. So again, I mean, I love the idea of everything you're doing online. What's the, where do you see it all going? Do you have any indication? Because again, you're in a vastly different area of North America than I am. You being in Nova Scotia, Canada, I'm in Dallas, Texas, pretty big difference. Do you see trends starting to form in any particular direction?
Well, it's interesting because I was just 15 years in California, right? It's fascinating because I have both perspectives. I think one of the pieces I am is still a little shocked at how closed Canada is. I thought coming from California, I was coming to open. That was my impression. Why? God, there's hardly any people, there's like 34 million in the entire country. And yet there's, more than that in just California. So I thought, it was going to be a lot more open, and it wasn't. And so constantly, I even had to personally shift. And because of that, that's a possible trend, right? We are reliant. Yes, great. We're going to get our vaccination passports, and that's going to, let's say, open the world. But in a way, not only in some cases is it polarizing, right? For those that, what if they don't, right? And that's almost creating for me the trend that I see, which is one that is disconcerting. And that, of course, is for anyone who believes one way or the other, how do you how do you continue to respect other people's opinions? And that's what has to happen. We
Mhm.
almost have to go back to fundamental kindness, no judgment, no, you know what I mean? Just treating humanity as that's a human person with their opinion. And if it does not coincide with ours, don't judge. We don't know anything about scenarios, situations. And we just saw this we just had an election here in Canada where Trudeau once again got elected. Well, and we saw it, of course, in the US with, Trump and Biden, that election. So to me, the elections are almost showing what the areas are starting to be like, or the country's viewpoints are starting to be like. And as let's say liberals were going out and canvassing, their cars were getting destroyed. We saw the riots in the US. All of this is happening. And it's happening because we're not focused in, I think, on what needs to happen. And that's going back to basics now. Respect each other, be truthful, trustful, all of that. And that's where I'd like to see us return. And then e-commerce comes on top of that. Then the stores come on top of that. Then we start the building process again. And so if we call this almost a universal reboot moment, which of course there is nothing in history that has repeated to this global a scale, then let's reboot the right way. And that's, I think, what I would like to see certainly happen is the focus shifted on, if we are here now to create this new world, what do we want it to look like? And yes, we're all getting mandated by certain government initiatives, but we as a people can still form our own, kind of foundation on how we want to proceed forward. And I think that's the biggest, certainly direction I'd like to see us go. And then the rest has to come on top of that, or the entire thing crumbles.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I, again, have been fortunate enough to not only doing my own show, but being on other people's show a fair amount lately, and was on a show in the UK last week. And I said, my platform or my desire is to return respect, honor, and dignity to the planet. You can have a different opinion than me. We've always had that. But the difference is how we've handled that. I should respect your opinion. You should respect mine. I should honor you for the fact that you've thought enough about it, and similar for me. And I said, when you're 180 degrees apart, it's really hard to accomplish anything.
Mhm.
If we came back in towards the middle a little bit, at least then we could be more representative of, again, I don't have to agree with you, but I respect you for the reasons that you've developed what you've developed,
Mhm.
and that's the way it always was, at least I thought. But again, for me, it's that respect, honor, and dignity. Respect is what I show you. Honor is how I lift you up. Dignity is actually how we both feel after that's been done appropriately.
Mhm.
And hopefully we can accomplish that through some, just calm discussion, not bullhorns and not yelling into a bullhorn. I mean, it's already designed to make it loud. You don't need to make it louder, from those things. So I agree with you. I think that if we can get a little bit more towards the middle and at least appreciate and understand, we're all here together. We ain't going away. I mean, one would think we should get along a whole lot better than we have been.
I agree. And it comes down to then, to me, because I've taken this reach millions approach, to me that becomes so much more important to get the positive messaging out there for those that have that to, reach out to people like ourselves and join networks that will allow you to get your own voice heard, like the Be Connected and Live in the Hive and those types of environments, because it is important right now that the airwaves are filled with positivity, because we all know from other factions and directives, they breed and thrive on the chaos and the fear, simply because that's how control can occur. So again, to me, my mandate didn't change, but the messaging in a way did, simply because I think we've all stepped above almost what we did and said, holy mackerel, we've got way more to accomplish here now. And so our messaging needs to be clear, and we need to really get it out there fast.
I coach intuitively, and what just hit me when you said that, and it's just weird. All of a sudden I had this image, because I grew up playing 5 sports, and you always had competition, right? I mean, it was you and them, and you were working to win the game. But as you worked to win the game, you played the game by the rules, and you did it honorably. And if in fact at the end of the game they were declared the winner, you would congratulate them for a game well played, and they would congratulate you for a game well played. It's interesting. Like I said, it just hit me. I wasn't thinking about this, but it's almost like those who don't understand sportsmanship, they don't understand that there are going to be times where you win and times where you don't win, and you should be gracious and grateful in both. Quite frankly, wow. I hadn't thought about it until just now. That's funny.
And I love that you gave the sports analogy, because I'm the same, right? I've also played around 5 sports when I was growing up, and it was the winner and the loser. But here's where I think we have made or need to make that transition. And I believe it was starting to go this way. And that is in our situation now, we don't need to have losers to win, right? All we need to do is continually empower others to achieve success and continue to enhance our own success, continue to provide avenues for those who are struggling to accomplish a success. When we all operate now on that kind of fundamental principle, this is where we can get rid of a winner, a loser, and a competitor, and that all mentality, which we're a little bit raised with to make us, whether we're fighters, to make us that type of thing, or make us aggressive so we can survive as a species, which is where that kind of began, right? Right now, how we will survive as a species is by working together. This is I think one of the things that hopefully has come to light as a result of this. And now we move forward with that kind of belief restored, which was inherent in our spiritual beingness.
Yeah, I totally agree. I like I said, I hadn't thought about it in that way until you had just sparked that in me. But I was like, wow, I even things like playing for Coach Hayden Fry at the University of Iowa. So I even got my Iowa shirt on today so I can make reference to it. When somebody scored, he said, before the person who crosses the goal line scores, let the entire team come down and celebrate together, because a single person did not make that score.
Absolutely.
And so again, even camaraderie and all those different things, I think there's a lot that can be learned by looking back or seeing some of the lessons. And maybe I've stated this before, sometimes we get more mature, that's code word for old. We tend to look back at some of that stuff and say, wow, had we had done that back then, my mom would have slapped the crud out of me.
Mhm.
So, geez, we've already gone through our time. How about leaving everybody with a little bit of wisdom?
Oh, a little bit of wisdom. Um, I think the wisdom I want to leave you with is to take a look at where you are now, where you were. Let's even go to pre-pandemic and where you want to be, and not just personally, right? We all do that. We're great goal setters, but what do you want to do as that humanitarian thread of what it is and where you're going, so that all of us can help to transition faster. It's really going to have to come down to some speed here. We're going to end up with a lot of people in trouble rapidly, simply because of the time it's been between finances for a huge part of the population.
Yeah.
And so we're just going to have to all really help ourselves and lift each other as we climb in a much faster rate. It's going to come down to that. And if you simply go to something like jointracy.com, I have all free courses and things that you can start with to help your journey, especially online, to be able to understand some of the pieces you're going to need to move yourself forward.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. Always great. We'll have to do it again soon and have more fun. Thank you all for being here at Scott Schilling Speaks. We'll see you again, same time tomorrow. God bless.